Hello. It's been more than a week since my last stream. Sorry. But I'm back now. Yeah. If I ever do stop streaming on this channel or like stopping videos at all, I'll probably go out with a bang. That sounds stupid, but yeah, I'll probably let you guys know some way or another, but I don't know when that'll happen. But it's not happening now, so don't worry. Anyway, we have a video here. A video about speedsters. Okay. Dude, I just woke up like within this hour. I think like 30-ish minutes ago. I gotta fix my sleep schedule. Okay. This is how the Incredibles perfected a super speedster. That speedster super isn't even in the title. Okay. Let's go. 11 minutes. It's gonna be an 11-minute stream today. No way.
Super speed might be one of the coolest powers ever created and also one of the worst written. This is Barry Allen, aka The
Yeah.
Flash, the fastest man alive, able to run hundreds, even thousands of times faster than light itself.
Wasn't there like a season where he, I don't watch The Flash, but I heard it was pretty bad, and he has to lose his power for like there to be any story at all. And at the end of the season, he gets his power, then beats the bad guy in like one hit. That is kind of ridiculous.
But then can't handle regular humans for some reason. And this is
What?
Pietro Maximoff, Quicksilver
That's way worse than what I just said. Okay, this one.
from the X-Men Fox universe. His speed starts so
This guy's
fast and practically freezes around him, but then
crazy
the story just
overpowered.
decides that doesn't matter. And
Oh,
then there's Pietro Maximoff again, but from the MCU universe. Not quite as fast as the one from X-Men, but fast enough to outrun bullets, but also so slow that he gets killed by one. And when you actually sit with all of that, you
well,
start to notice something. Super speed sounds amazing on
Invincible.
paper, but the moment you
Oh, that's bad. For the new Invincible season, it was pretty good. I think I watched it. It was it was cool. I didn't really like the season finale though. I feel like it's a bit cliffhangery, I guess. But no, it's fine. Things really happen next season. Yeah.
try to build a story around it, something just doesn't feel right. I mean, I love super speed, and
I thought he was gonna show it for a second. That was gonna show us what happened.
love super speed, and if you're watching this, you probably do too. It's one of those abilities that
Yeah.
just feels right. But the more speedsters we get, the less they actually feel that way. And I couldn't really get the reason why. Until recently when I was watching Incredibles and I stumbled around something. Something about its
Okay.
speedster. Something about Dash part, and how within this character lies the answer to why super speed is difficult to write, and how he is the key to fixing it and showing us how truly super speed should be displayed on film. The Incredibles
How?
is such a special film to so many, one can even push that further to consider it a masterpiece. And
Yo, I just found out recently that Incredibles came out in 2004. How do y'all feel about that? 2004. That's wait, hold on. That's 24 years ago. 22 years ago. This movie came out 22 years ago. How do you guys feel about that?
I agree, it might be. The movie came out during a time where superhero films as a genre weren't really booming as it is now. Back then in 2004, the only notable superhero films were the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, with Spider-Man 2 released in June that year. And prior to this were the X-Men films already making a name for themselves in the live-action department. And despite all that, this movie came in as a
Interesting.
deconstruction of the superhero mythos in a sense, bringing in factors that speak to the superhero genre like it's already a thriving juggernaut that needs restraint, something that would fly well if told in our current time of superhero films. In this self-contained narrative, however, we follow a small family of superpowered individuals trying to navigate a world that has simply moved past the need for superheroes in their society, with Bob, the once loved superhero Mr. Incredible, known for his super strength, with his wife Helen aka Elastic Girl, known for her elastic powers. Their children
Okay.
Violet, Dash, and Jack Jack, each with their own distinct abilities as well: force fields, invisibility, super speed, and literally a jack of all trades. One of the fundamentals.
Oh, that's why he's called Jack. Makes sense. What is it? Sorry, I don't pause that much. I've been pausing like so much this video actually. But yeah, that was just like one section. I was just like, you know, I don't want this to be like an 11-minute video slash stream. But I did say we're just gonna react to this video. You know, I'll find another video to watch if it's too short. Whatever. We'll
Of
see what
this
happens.
film is how the director deliberately incorporated every ability into the personalities and traits of each of the character, which can be a cliche, but it works. A dad is
I see.
expected to be strong, so they made the dad possess super strength. The mom has a dad is
I wish you could see his face right now. Look at him. Look. Absolute clown.
expected to be strong, so they made the dad possess super strength. The mom has so many dad is
Also,
expected to be strong, so they
I've seen this exact clip so many times in so many stupid videos, bro. It's like when I get rage baited by a single mother's child waving at me. So I just decide to kill her like something. I forgot. That sounds really bad actually. That's not what I meant. That's not what I found funny. The clip used is funny. When I get rage baited by a toddler, so I just decide to cause a traffic crash. I don't know.
made the dad possess super strength.
I guess that's a better way to put it. This is not talking about the video at all. Okay, sorry.
But it works. A dad is expected to be strong, so they made the dad possess super strength. The
Makes
mom
sense.
has so many responsibilities while being a mother, so she's pulled in different directions, so she has the abilities to stretch. The
I
teenage
didn't think
girl
about that.
feels insecure and wants to hide, so she turns invisible and creates barriers. The young boy is hyper energetic, so he moves at super speed. And that core trait is something to keep in mind for this video to make sense.
Wait, I didn't know that. I haven't, in all the years of like knowing knowing about Incredibles, I didn't really think of their powers as like cliche. I don't know. I guess they don't play up the personality that much. Like, I guess it's not super obvious. That's what I miss about movies back then, back in my day. No, but yeah, they're really subtle with it. It's it's cool.
The baby, however, is unknown potential, so he has every power. Another thing the
Makes
director
sense.
does well, which not only serves this film but makes it work in every aspect of it, is despite these characters seemingly having otherworldly abilities, they are still somewhat grounded. As Bob has super strength, he's not capable of lifting everything and struggles to lift some things. As Elastigirl can stretch, she feels strain and pain when she pushes herself.
Ooh.
Violet still has to concentrate and can be knocked out if there's too much pressure on her force fields. And Dash, despite having super speed, is not the fastest thing in existence. And this is important, because through this, I will tell you why this trait makes Dash Par one of, if not the most well-written speedster. Dash is introduced to
Let's see.
us as a regular kid, filled with so much energy as any 10-year-old kid should, or are they? And if we follow through with Brad Bird's way of
So sorry, just
Earth's way of structuring the powers of the Incredibles, it makes sense that his abilities are super speed. But in the world at its current time, superheroes'
yeah, that was such a
abilities
baby
are super
punch.
speed.
That was such a baby punch.
But in the
Wow.
world at its current time, superheroes are banned. This leaves Dash, a kid with so much potential, never truly being able to push himself. He wants
Oh, that sucks. But dude, that whole thing. So I watched a video of who was it by Cartoon She, I think, where um what is it? He talked about like the files in the Incredibles, and yeah, dude, we saw the stats of all the dead superheroes, and when he says grounded, I don't think that's true. I'm not gonna lie, because in those stats, Mr. Incredible has like almost everything maxed out. It's dude, I don't think that's grounded. I'm not gonna lie. Also, I was gonna say something about Dash, but I forgot. That sucks. Okay.
superheroes are banned. This leaves Dash, a kid with so much potential, never truly being able to push himself. He wants to
Yeah.
compete in his school sports but is neglected by his mom because he's different. Or rather, all he's trying to do is show off.
Everyone's special, Dash, which is another way of saying no one is.
Throughout the film, Dash's
Ooh.
speed is shown in his mannerisms. He talks fast, his daily life is him doing everything in this quick, energetic format. He uses his speed for pranking his teacher or picking on his sister.
That
Things
is
that,
crazy.
although are fun, can also be forgotten.
That teacher got rage baited so badly. Wow.
Quite easily. But what I like about this movie is how it makes sure everyone has a chance to shine. Throughout the film, we get to see the family use their abilities, each with their own growth if needed. While Mr. Incredible and Mrs. Incredible are more experienced and show their prowess very often, in fact, nearly throughout the film, the kids are also given their own moments to shine as well. And for Dash,
Mm-hmm.
that came in the format of what fans like to call the
What
100
happened to the
meter
audio?
dash.
100-mile dash. Probably copyright. So weird when the audio does this. Ooh.
This scene
Sounds so
itself
funny.
became the epitome of what super speed should look and feel like. If there's any moment in this film engraved in the minds of everybody who has ever seen it, it has to be this scene. And honestly, there's nothing more exciting than seeing someone who constantly gets held back finally letting loose. On a base level, it's just a speedster running, but on a wider angle, this unintentionally displays what has been missing in speedsters and super speed as a whole. Because how can you make super speed enjoyable to watch?
Okay. That was
In speedsters and super speed as a whole. Because how can you make super speed enjoyable to watch? How do you make super speed express a feeling? How do you also make it have tension? And this sequence alone answers all that. Here we have Dash simply not trying to fight a battle. In fact, before this, his mother tells him the harsh reality of the situation they found themselves.
Remember the bad guys on those shows you used to watch on Saturday mornings? Well, these guys are not like those guys. They won't exercise restraint because you're children. They will kill you if they get the chance. Do not give them that chance.
And when he
that's like really evil. They're like willing to kill children, superpowered children. That's wow.
and his sister comes face to
This
face
game
with
is
this challenge, they simply do
this
what
video
they
is
were told to
serious.
do. Survive no matter the cost. While Violet can simply make herself invisible, all Dash has to do is simply
Dash, if anything goes wrong, I want you to run as fast as you can.
As fast as I can?
As fast as you can.
Run! What? Run!
Dash has to not just run for the sake of it, but to avoid being caught, even by the bad guys, something absolutely strange to
Holy.
hear a speedster has to deal with. But for this film,
Yo, I just realized what's the point of having like blades on your ship? I guess it makes sense for defense, but like I don't know, I feel like it's a weird design. I don't know why I just thought of that. Sorry.
It works. It creates the necessary stakes. The environment itself acts as a challenge. He has
And it
to
works for
navigate a
balance too.
jungle, use his surroundings to his advantage, having small victories and losses while running. He slams into things and even runs off a cliff. The director made sure to
How to
pull you
describe that?
into everything, using incredible dynamic camera works like showing Dash's POV, the rush of his speed, the goon's perspective in hot pursuit, stationary shots, aerial shots, and downward
Is the
angles.
audio just
All
gonna be like
this
this the
sink
entire
the
time?
audience into the scene and make them feel every moment. I like to think super speed should feel the same as a car chase scene. Well, good ones, because they should
Really?
operate on the same principles of filmmaking. If a car scene was just them moving from one point to another, or just watching the cars whoosh by, you won't feel anything. Practically, that movie would be boring. But because we can feel the intensity and thrill of the chase, admire the skill of the driver, experience the maneuvers conceptually possible, in a sense, that all makes watching a car scene enjoyable. Now turn this into the
Holy.
view of a speedster. If a speedster is too fast or essentially can't be everywhere they need to be in seconds, then they are not really running. It just starts to feel like teleportation. It takes away from the thrill and freedom of movement. Like tell me, would
Didn't think
Spider-Man's
about
web
that.
swinging work so well if we never actually see him swing? If we don't get those dynamics and acrobatics he pulls off to gain momentum and maneuver his way around New York City? How do you feel seeing Superman fly for the first time or any time at all? Isn't it exciting? That's essentially what super speed has been missing. And Dash in Incredibles was able to achieve that by actively being built as a slower speedster, having a speed cap around
Huh.
450 to 650 miles per hour. And in doing so, it fixes one of the biggest issues with
So
super speed in
crazy
most
cap.
films. It keeps the speedster inside the world instead of separating him from it. Because what a lot of movies tend to do is isolate speed. They slow everything else down just to make the character look fast. You see this briefly with Quicksilver from the X.
The audio's back. I never thought about it like that. Like all the dude, this guy seems to know his stuff about films and like techniques to show impact or stuff. Maybe he's watched a lot of movies, I don't know. But yeah. I feel like this speedster thing where it slows down time for all of them. I feel like if anything, that just shows that, yeah, like he said, it's their work. It's like the world revolves around them, kinda. Makes sense. Makes sense.
X-Men Fox universe where time is basically frozen and it's just moving freely through it. And yeah, it looks cool, but it also strips away tension. Nothing reacts
Yeah.
nor challenges him. He's not moving through anything, he's just moving around it. The Sonic film, while almost being the perfect depiction of a speedster, also couldn't help following this trend, which somehow affected it going forward. Even something like the Ezra Miller's Flash falls into the same issue. Well, apart from the ridiculous running pose, his speed is shown by slowing
Ridiculous running
everything
pose.
else down. And
Wait,
again,
actually, that was cool. Wait, I like that one. I like that. Wait. This is probably not how it would work in real life, but that's cool. Wait. Okay.
slowing everything else down. And again, thematically, it looks powerful, but it removes urgency and makes it seem this character should be, in all honesty, extremely overpowered. Because if nothing can touch them, then there's nothing to worry about. And if something does touch them, then it creates narrative inconsistencies. And that's the difference. Dash isn't separated from the world, he's forced to deal with it. Everything is still moving, everything is still dangerous, the ground can trip him, the trees can block his path, the enemies can catch up to him if he loses his guard. He has to think while he's running, and that alone makes his speed feel more real than most portrayals. He's not too fast for the story. The story is built around his speed and his capabilities within it. So instead of
I feel like him also just being a kid, like, adds more to the tension because he's less experienced and stuff. And, like, since he's fast and he knows he's a bit, like, arrogant on that side. Because, well, yeah, he's like, since he's faster than a lot of people, he naturally thinks that he's invincible, kinda. But, yeah. Interesting.
abilities within it. So instead of bending the rules to make him work, the film just sets clear limits and lets him operate within them.
Just
My argument
cool
for
it.
super speed is that it doesn't need to be this overpowered godlike ability to be interesting. If you
Yeah.
want super speed to feel good again,
How did they achieve this? I think they probably had like a crane or something carrying him, and he was just weirdly running like that. That's an interesting run.
Feel good again, there should be this less emphasis on making it this very big thing. It can be grounded, it can be an interactive force, make it something that audiences can actually follow and feel. And that's something The Incredibles understands perfectly.
Also, wait, sorry,
Actually
one random
follow
thing.
and feel. It can be an interactive force, make it something that audiences can actually follow and feel. And that's something The Incredibles understands perfectly. It doesn't try
Sorry, we just skipped over the Wonder Woman clip.
to feel good again, there should be this less emphasis on making it this very big thing.
I feel like stuff like that right there. Is that just reaction time, or is that like she kinda also has super speed? Cause I think it's just reaction time. Okay, never mind.
It can be grounded, it can be an interactive force, make it something that audiences can actually follow and feel. And that's something The Incredibles understands perfectly. It doesn't try to make Dash the fastest thing ever, it just makes him fast enough. Fast enough that he can be exciting, fast enough to be in danger, fast enough to struggle despite having super speed, and it actually makes sense. And because of that, to me, it works. But opinions are opinions. You have yours.
Wait, is that after the mountain clip where he fell? Probably, right? Yeah.
Because of that, to me, it works. But opinions are opinions. You have yours and I have mine. But let me know what you think. It works.
That's me listening to him right now. Me listening to bro.
But opinions are opinions. You have yours and I have mine. But let me know what you think in the comment section. What's your favorite form of super speed? Or who's your favorite space time?
Sorry. Dude, I watched I was trying to watch The Boys, you know, the TV show The Boys. I was trying to watch that, and for some reason I got redirected to a whole nother show. It was a Fox show, like this one. And dude, I thought it was a joke. I watched the entire first episode. They did a recap and everything about how, like, this person. Okay, so there are two teams. The good guys and the bad guys. I'll make it simple. And the good guys have like two other good guys inside of the group like leave to the bad guys because of whatever reason. I don't know. And one of them's pregnant, and so the family gets separated because the pregnant mother joins the bad guys, but the dad stays. And the son of another family within the group leaves too. So yeah, that happens. Then the evil guys are like trying to use their powers for bad stuff. Who would have thought? And then I wouldn't say the acting's bad, but like the acting was, I thought the entire episode was a parody. I thought it was a VOD parody. I want to say the name of the show, but I don't know why I can't think of it right now. I don't know why I thought of Get Bricked or something. It's not that. It's not called that. There's no way. It was a Fox show for sure, though. I clicked on The Boys. It said The Boys, and I pressed play, and the entire 45 to 49-minute episode, I thought it was a joke. And I clicked refresh. I pressed on episode 1. The actual episode was playing. I was pretty disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. About me not being able to tell, and that show being in existence. That show should not be a thing. I'm sorry. I was gonna try to find it, but I don't think I can. Hold on, let me try to find it. Let me try to find it. Let me try to find it. It was a Fox show. I don't know what it's called. What is the name of it? I gotta really work on my posture to do this bad. Okay. Any Fox shows? Okay, where is Fox? I honestly cannot tell you. Wow. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that.
favorite space-time fiction. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and hey, if you enjoyed this video or took anything from it, feel free to drop a like and subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads or just to help grow the channel. But until next time, I'm out.
That's a good video. I'll link it in the description and the original creator. You know what? This stream's been too short. Let's watch one more video. One more video. Yeah. How each Spider-Man understood their character. I like Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. Also,
Tobey
I've been
Maguire
trying to. So, I'm gonna talk while it was loading, but I've been working on the highlights video for the when I had curly hair, like more curly hair. I'm like procrastinating like crazy. It's bad. Yeah, I have to finish that video because I want to upload at least 2 highlights videos to the second channel. Cause yeah, curly hair then cut hair, and then not this, not this. There's nothing to highlight. I mean there is, but no. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of stuff. How each Spider-Man understood the character.
Tobey Maguire is a perfect Peter Parker but a terrible Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield is a perfect Spider-Man but
What?
Tobey Maguire is a perfect Peter Parker but a terrible Spider-Man.
A terrible Spider-Man?
Andrew Garfield is a perfect Spider-Man but a terrible Peter Parker. And Tom Holland is a
I
perfect
guess.
Spider-Man and Peter Parker.
Interesting. A lot of people wouldn't agree with that.
You've definitely heard these things before. Usually when people talk about who is the most accurate or best portrayal of Spider-Man, comments like this pop up everywhere. And at first glance, it kind of makes sense.
No, I feel like the main consensus is that Tobey Maguire is the best one. Or is that an old opinion? Because everyone was clowning on Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Last time I checked, I guess. Whatever, okay.
But the thing is, if all three of them are somehow perfect at different parts of the same character, then what is Spider-Man really supposed to be? Is he Peter Parker first or Spider-Man? Is he defined by responsibility or by who he is when the mask comes off? And why does every version feel right even when they contradict each other? Because what most people don't see is how each Spider-Man isn't just different for the sake of being different. They are built on completely different ideas of what being Spider-Man is supposed to be, shaped by how filmmakers understand the character, the world around him, and the people in it. And once you start looking at the relationship he has, the villains he faces, even the city he lives in, that simple take
Sorry.
looking at the relationship he has, the villains
I don't remember that scene at all.
is even the city he lives in, that simple take about a perfect Peter Parker or a perfect Spider-Man stops making sense. So in this video I want to give a more analytical understanding of how each version of Spider-Man understood the character, specifically in the live action appearances, why some moments about the Spider-Man stick so well, and why some fell hard, and how that shapes the Spider-Man you carry in your head. And if that sounds interesting and genuinely something you're into, you can do this channel
This is me again. Well, it's me again.
You carry in your head. And if that sounds interesting and genuinely something you're into, you can do this channel a solid by dropping a like or subscribing, because it helps the channel grow, keeps me motivated, and puts a smile on my face. So now that we got all the introduction out of the way,
Good motivation.
let's hop into it.
Peter Parker. Peter Parker. Okay, good. Hey, I'm Peter.
And I know I'm not your father.
Then stop pretending to be.
Dare you?
How dare I? How dare you? None of this would have happened if you would just listen to me.
Peter Parker as a character is just
I feel like out of those three, I feel like the first half of that clip, the first round, I'll call it, of these clips right here. Wait, no, there's 3 rounds. Okay, what?
and puts a smile on my face. So now that we got all the introduction out of the way, let's hop into it.
This is round 1.
Peter Parker. Peter Parker. Okay, good. Hey, I'm Peter.
And I know I'm not your
This is round 2.
Then
Okay.
stop pretending to be.
Dare you?
How dare I? How dare you? None of this would have happened if you would just listen to me.
Okay, round 2 of those clips. I think Tobey Maguire might be the best one. The best, like, portrayal of round 1. Because you just get tripped up, but, like, that's like a corny representation of high school. But it works for the time, too, so. And then, I feel like Andrew Garfield is way too... He doesn't seem like the type of person to be like... Peter. Parker. Yeah, I don't know. He's too handsome. And Tom Holland, I feel like way too much stuttering. I feel like it's a bit over exaggerated, but that's just me. But I feel like Tom Holland actually wins round 2 of this, because he actually sounds a little more like a little kid, like that voice crack too. I don't know if that was intentional, but very interesting as a professional movie critic watching this.
Dare you?
How dare I? How dare you? None of this would have happened if you would just listen to me.
Peter Parker as a character is just as important as Spider-Man is to any story.
Yeah.
He forms the basis to which Spider-Man is built on. He's not necessarily the mask or any of that duality stuff going on with Batman and Bruce Wayne. However, the comics have had their very many tweaks to Peter Parker's character over the years. But for the emphasis of this video, we'll focus on the Spider-Man these live-action depictions draw heavy inspirations from, the very early Spider-Man comics made back in 1962. And although the various live-action Spider-Man did take note from this comic book to craft an understanding of the character,
That's so weird. Why would you put pupils in the... Huh.
this live
Imagine they kept the...
action Spider-Man did take note from this comic book to craft an understanding of the character.
Imagine they kept the pupils in the mask the whole time, but they didn't.
This
I think it's to emphasize, like, how shocked he is.
really added their own unique spins to either elevate the character or better serve the story they're telling. For example, the Sam Raimi Peter Parker, which is held very strongly for being the definitive take on Peter Parker, even so that they talk down any other interpretation because they dare to be different, which isn't fair and isn't actually quite right. Yes, the Peter Parker from the Raimi films was in a sense ideal for the story, but not quite synonymous to the comics. It portrays Peter Parker as a nerdy loner, one who gets ostracized by his very own classmates and people around him, except his auntie and uncle of course, which hits the same beat as the comic versions. However, what strikes the contrast between the two is how that persona or characteristics changes as he grows and evolves and ages over the years in the comics. Peter Parker specifically doesn't stay constant as this loner, nerdy, awkward teen throughout his life. In fact, as he grows, as he knows and understands
Select text.
himself more as an individual, he gains confidence. The Sam Raimi's Peter Parker, on the other hand, emphasizes his kind and noble nature, not his other not so noble qualities of being an actual jerk or someone who is unconsciously selfish. And throughout the films, Peter Parker remains practically the same. Even though there are issues and arcs within the three films to give his character some kind of growth, it doesn't affect his mannerisms. He's still the loving, introverted, soft-spoken Peter Parker. The films treat his lacking of that selfish and egotistical behaviors as who he would have become if he didn't get a reality check from Uncle Ben's speech and subsequent death.
This guy, Flash Thompson, he probably deserved what happened. But just because you can beat him doesn't give you the right to.
And the only time that side of him ever gets shown is due to his now fascination for the fame Spider-Man has gained in Spider-Man 3.
They love me.
And also when he's affected by the Venom symbiote, and we all know how that went out. Contrast all this with the Peter Parker from the Mac Web Spider-Man, aka the Amazing Spider-Man films, who is portrayed with more of a rebellious feel and attitude to him, with this angsty teenage vibe that was contemporary to that time, which fans quickly hated as it didn't seem like the mild-mannered Peter Parker of the Raimi trilogy, which, as I said earlier in this video, isn't a fair assessment when it comes to this interpretation of the character, and even the Tom Holland version. As drawing reference from the comics, these are actually valid qualities of the character. Yes, Peter Parker is in a sense mild-mannered.
Basketball should never be this serious. Also, I was gonna say something, but again, that's cool. What was it? He was like gonna bounce off one of his talking points, but
in a sense mild-mannered and kind. That is true, but he isn't that completely. He gets egotistical and selfish and lashes out even against people like Flash, who is well known.
Okay, you brainless baboons, you flattered me for the last time. How about that? He's regular Bob Hope today. Yeah, and he's liable to be a regular hospital case tomorrow if he doesn't clam up. He looks like the mouse trying to turn into a lion. Oh, Flash, okay.
To be just a bully to Peter Parker. Now that skateboarding is new, the Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker also highlights Peter Parker's ingenuity very often, which is a great testament to his roots. Rather than just visiting a science center once, he's shown genuinely doing pretty smart stuff. He builds his web shooters and helps corners in his projects, which actually ended up going very wrong. But all this oftentimes than not gets overlooked in favor that this Peter Parker isn't the same film-to-film adaptations of the Raimi trilogy, which for many they found that sold us more in the MCU's version. This Peter Parker hits the right spot for a lot of fans, if not for anything, for bringing the youthful energy to the character. And in world it makes sense, because as a Peter Parker who is very far away from his origin story, he should be far ahead, at least a bit past where we always begin with every new Spider-Man reboot.
Yeah, true. I feel like people at first, they liked how, like, Tom Holland kind of skipped the whole Uncle Ben thing because, well, you already know what happened. But yeah, it kind of makes sense. Like, since we're past that point, I feel like he should be a little more experienced, but yeah, makes sense. Also, the Andrew Garfield thing, I'm gonna be honest, I forgot he made his own. I forgot he was also smart. I feel like he's more known as the angsty teen, I guess, in his words.
And in throwing away the awkwardness and rugged attitude of his predecessors, this Peter Parker is rather simple. He's not held back or dictated by the weight of having power or needing closure and friends, as that's not really a problem here. He's surrounded by friends and loved ones right from the very start. He gets invited to parties, although he's still a nerd, it's not played like something that ruins him, but part of him is proud of and kind of finds cool. However, the struggle between being Spider-Man often cost him this life, and as he grows and matures, he oftentimes yearns to live the normal life, to be more Peter Parker than Spider-Man, which isn't strange as he plays well with the world of the early comics, specifically in his college years. But one thing we can deduce from this world of the early comics, specifically,
I've been fooling myself playing games like a kid. Spider-Man just one big ego trip.
in his college years.
Interesting.
But one thing we can deduce from these three portrayals of Peter Parker is viewing Spider-Man in the lens of a Rorschach test, filmmakers deconstructing the character to tell different viewpoints of Peter Parker, and what they want, what they value, and what they sacrifice for. However, it gets taken from them or misdirected due to the burden of responsibility or the misunderstanding of being their other half, of being Spider-Man.
I'm not gonna lie, that those last 20 to 30 seconds, everything just went through my head.
Why does one choose to be a superhero? Why put on a suit, a cape, or wear your underwear on the outside? Why choose to represent
It's still a very weird choice.
to be a superhero? Why put on a suit, a cape, or wear your underwear on the outside? Why choose to represent something? Many times filmmakers have tried to answer these questions, and many times it's not straightforward depending on the character.
Okay.
Take for example Superman and Batman. Their roles and ideals get complicated or rather morally unrealistic. Take for example Superman
Why are you side-eyeing me? What'd I do?
and Batman. Their roles and ideals get complicated or rather morally and realistically complex when compared to the world we live in. Hope justice and the American way loses its meaning when you view it through our world today. Justice isn't merely black and white but has its nuances and intersections, which makes writing a foolproof story sometimes fall flat if merely missing a mark. But Spider-Man doesn't have any of that. In its simplest format, Spider-Man is just a good person trying to do good with what he has. Nothing more and honestly, nothing less. In a sense, being responsible with the power he has or having a moral obligation to do what's right. In the three portrayals of Spider-Man, we see this as lessons Peter Parker has to learn, which is similar to the earlier comics. However, what's different is how that idea is instilled into Peter Parker. While we know it in the usual way as Peter gets a speech from Uncle Ben, then revolts against being advised, then gets hit with a reality check, however, in the comics, it starts differently. In fact, the responsibility speech isn't even something that's said by Uncle Ben, but instead it's a quote by the narrator. And Uncle Ben is shot and killed off screen. But it still has its significance though, of teaching Peter Parker the value of life. Even the Spider-Man suit isn't something he makes as a response to Uncle Ben's death, but simply a way to hide its identity, and that's it. However, I could say all these snippets can be found somewhere within the three adaptations of the character. The Raimi films is closer to being accurate to this regard. He has the early mannerisms of Peter Parker from the comics, except it adds its own unique beats of making Uncle Ben say the responsibility speech to him, which began the trend or made the audience think that is the ideal way to do it.
Yeah, it was. I didn't think he was just killed off screen, and then the narrator said it instead. I didn't know that. Wow.
In this sense, the one which I would say is even more accurate to this is the MCU's version. He starts off being Spider-Man for the fun and thrill of it, however still maintaining his good nature and noble youthfulness. And from Homecoming to Far From Home is the general lesson of responsibility that's always sprinkled into everything he has to learn, not the whole, but part. And it's the final film in his trilogy that the speech is said to him.
With great power, there must also come great responsibility.
And if you ask me thematically, it makes sense, as in the earlier comics, Uncle Ben is not really the focal point of what makes him Spider-Man. In fact, his appearances were very short, and Peter spends more of his time with Aunt May and rather looks up to other heroes as a source of inspiration. The Andrew Garfield Spider-Man also follows this as well, although diluted to still reminisce the Sam Raimi films and its nostalgia.
Yeah, not gonna lie, it's kind of evil what they did. Tom Holland Spider-Man, he has to start from like zero. Like -1 actually, because his Aunt May died too, so he's actually all alone. That's wow.
Whole responsibility speech is even changed completely, seen more as a lesson on moral obligations and doing what's right because you can.
If you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things. Not choice, responsibility.
In all three iterations, the Spider-Man suits are carved out to fulfill different purposes. The Raimi Spider-Man suit was fulfilling his uncle's wishes, a monument to the man his uncle was. He used those words to guide him in whatever he does and choices he makes as Spider-Man in trying to do what's simply the best he can do, and oftentimes wrestles with the weight of the responsibility it dawns on him, and oftentimes
He has such beautiful blue eyes. That was wow.
best he can do, and oftentimes wrestles with the weight
Look
of
at
the
that.
responsibility it dawns on him, and oftentimes too has to find a new path to understanding it, as emphasized in Spider-Man 2. The Andrew Garfield suit is merely an inspiration in his part, and an exploration of his artistic insight. He first dons it to take revenge on his uncle's killer, a feeling that slowly disappears from him as he answers the call to be responsible. When his life reaches a turning point to truly do something with the gift he has, which not only did it end up inspiring him to continue doing better, it also became a major turning point going forward.
Spider-Man.
And because the entire idea surrounding this version of the character is heavily inspired by the trend of its era of this dark and gritty way of storytelling, especially emphasized by the Dark Knight trilogies, it crept its way into how the suit was designed, from the first film using recognizable and grounded items to manufacture the suit. It's not until the second film, after being established as New York's hero, does he then choose to use a suit that's more akin to the comics, with the wider eyes and brighter colors. And when you view this version of Spider-Man on Peter Parker, it makes sense why this Spider-Man was allowed to be more quippy and silly, even more stylized with how he swings and moves as a whole. Because as Peter Parker or Spider-Man, the two personalities don't contradict each other.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
And moves as a whole. Because
I don't like how he did. It's like an actual spider. That's.
Personalities don't contradict each other. In fact, one could argue the suit simply lets him truly express himself a bit more than he can show when he is just Peter Parker. However, for the Tom Holland Spider-Man, it's a bit different. Existing in a world as alive as the MCU, things are bound to be different. From his suits being a mix of the classic elements and technical innovations of the world he exists in, apart from his own main suit, every other thing follows in this same pattern. Of course, this allows and gives excuse for a more expressive feel to the Spider-Man, with the movable eyes, which is
Oh, also one thing. One thing about that clip. This one. I like kind of like how the story changed some stuff, like the Uncle Ben stuff. It was interesting. What is it? Yeah, it was interesting, and especially when he doesn't have his spider sense. That's pretty shocking at the time. And when the third movie, I think the third movie. What is this? Far From Home, I think. That's the second movie. Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. Right? I don't know. Yeah, he doesn't have spider sense until this movie. That was really cool.
Gives excuse for a more expressive feel to the Spider-Man, with the movable eyes, which is also held by Tom Holland's performances. Being Spider-Man, as earlier stated, is a fun thing to do. He looks up to the heroes in his world and is inspired to do good as they have. Now, I'm not denying there's no inner and more in-depth reason for this. In fact, he clearly states the reason why he chooses to be Spider-Man when asked by Tony Stark.
Look, when you can do the things that I can, but you don't, and then the bad things happen, they happen because of you.
And if we put this into context, it doesn't change my statement. The heroes around him inspired him on how to use his powers, to use it for good, to avoid the bad things from happening again. And you know, some do view that throughout the subsequent films, he does deviate from these ideas, mostly by making horrible decisions and choices that put others at harm more than intended. And yeah, other Spider-Men made mistakes too, but some are merely one-time things or simply a lesson needed to be learned and is actually learned. But for the MCU Spider-Man, it becomes a recurring thing. Subsequently, throughout all the films, being Spider-Man is something he gets burdened by as the films progresses, and yeah, it is a recurring thing for Spider-Man as well. But however, it changes viewpoints when the reason for being in this predicament is different from theirs. As others saw it as a sense of fulfilling their responsibility with the powers they have, this version sees it like a fun job at first, a chance to prove himself to be a useful superhero amongst many.
Makes sense, yeah. Also, I think I had the thought in my head. I was waiting for him to stop so he can get to his next point. And then as soon as I pause it just vanished from my head. What is actually happening? What did he say about the Spider-Man's becoming more of a burden as the movies progress, and then never mind.
I just wanted to be like you.
And I wanted you to be better.
The second film is already burdened by it and wants a regular life as Peter Parker,
I just really need this vacation. I need a break.
a break from being Spider-Man. And the third film creates a conflict that makes being both problematic. In trying to have his cake and eat it at the same time, his world completely crumbles beneath him.
Makes sense, yeah.
New York City is a character itself, and I think it should be, because you have Gotham City and Metropolis, which proves these sentiments pretty well, by emphasizing the ideals that are given.
Metropolis isn't really a character, though. Maybe it is. I haven't seen the new Superman movie. Yeah, I haven't seen the Superman movie. What just happened?
Heroes fight against or fight for. For Spider-Man, on the other hand, it not only creates the necessary buildings for Spider-Man to swing on, but also the mannerisms of a place where someone dresses like a bug and is named after one can exist. There's a section in the Sam Raimi films that had always surprised me when I was younger, because of how natural it felt. During the montage of Spider-Man rescues and heroic moments from the first film, the citizens are interviewed, and what's really jarring is the way they give this surreal and realistic commentary about Spider-Man, which made the immersion of the world feel grand.
It's a big dog. I'm surprised it's not CGI or something.
Immersion of the world feel grand. And it even hits harder during the final battle with Green Goblin. The city stood up for their hero, highlighting he may be weirdly dressed, but he's doing the city a service, and that makes him one of them.
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us!
The Amazing Spider-Man films, I think, grounds this even better. The city first views him as a vigilante through and through, but due to his acts of selfless heroic actions, especially in saving a kid, the whole city returns the favor by aiding him during his battle with
That's
the Lizard.
so cool.
Fast forward to the sequel, and he's a full-blown celebrity and is adored by all. And I have to be honest, New York City as a character is the weakest part of the Home trilogy. Although there are moments here and there, but they are merely minuscule compared to what the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire films displayed. The relationships Spider-Man has with the characters are very essential in in-depthly understanding him as well. Take someone like Aunt May, for example.
Yeah, that was really... I think maybe New York would be more of a focus in the new Spider-Man movie when it comes out. That would be cool.
Across all three portrayals, she represents something very specific in Peter's life, a moral anchor. But the way that anchor functions is different in each version. In the Sam Raimi films, Aunt May feels small, almost symbolic, like she exists slightly above Peter's world, constantly reminding him of the kind of person he should be. Her words carry weight, almost like echoes of Uncle Ben's philosophy, reinforcing that sense of responsibility that defines that version of Spider-Man. In the Amazing Spider-Man films, she feels more grounded, more human. She worries and struggles, oftentimes questions Peter. There's a tension there that makes their relationship feel less like guardians and more like something Peter has to navigate carefully, especially when he starts hiding things from her. And then in the MCU, Aunt May becomes central, not just as a supporting figure, but as someone actively involved in Peter's journey. She knows who he is, she supports him, and completely and ultimately
This is hilarious.
involved in Peter's journey. She knows who he is.
This scene was hilarious. I think I went to see this movie with my friends one time, like when it first came out. I don't know, it was funny when she said the F word, but then it cut off. So funny.
She supports him, and completely and ultimately, she becomes the one to carry the very idea that has always defined Spider-Man, which is a major shift, because now responsibility isn't something inherited from the past, it's something that is passed on in the moment through us. And that ties directly into how romantic relationships also functions in each version as well. Because whether it's Mary Jane or Gwen or Michelle, these aren't just love interests, they represent different sides of Peter Parker's life that he's constantly trying to hold together. In the Raimi films, Mary Jane often feels just out of reach, like something Peter can never fully have without sacrificing Spider-Man. Their relationship is filled with missed timings, secrets, and distance, reinforcing the idea that being Spider-Man comes at the cost of personal happiness. With Andrew Garfield's Peter and Gwen, it's almost the opposite. There's honesty there, there's a connection, there's partnership, which makes the eventual loss feel even more more heartbreaking because it wasn't something slipping away over time. It was something that was fully there and then suddenly taken. And in the MCU, Peter and MJ
that
exist in a
sucks.
space that feels more casual and more natural. Less burdened at first, but that changes because as Peter's responsibilities grow, that same relationship becomes something he has to protect by letting go of it entirely. And that's the important, because relationships in Spider-Man
It's so
stories
tragic.
don't just support him, they are the very things his role as Spider-Man puts at risk. Now, when you bring villains to this, they don't sit outside of this idea too. They exist within it, because Spider-Man's villains are often
And it's so funny.
sit outside of this idea too. They exist within
I find it so funny how he just sits down and chats with him. I don't remember this scene at all either. What is this?
it. Because Spider-Man's villains are often tied directly to Peter's world. Norman Osborn isn't just a villain, he's connected to Peter's personal life, filling the fatherly role in a sense. Kurt Connors is someone Peter looks up
can see
to,
that.
someone he works with and shares genuine interest with. Even someone like Vulture operates within the same city, the same environment, shaped by systems that Peter is also part of. And what makes them interesting isn't just what they do, it's what they represent. There are often people who, like Peter, had something go wrong, but instead of choosing responsibility, they chose something else. Either it's power, control, revenge, or even just survival. And that's where the contrast really sits. Because Peter Parker is constantly put in positions where he could become like them, he could act out of anger, he could act out of selfish decisions, he could prioritize his own desires over everyone else. And sometimes he almost does. But what separates him is that moment where he pulls back, that moment where he chooses to do the harder thing. And that's where everything ties back to responsibility, not as a line, not as something that's simply said, but as a decision. In the Raimi films, that decision is made early and carried like weight. In the Amazing Spider-Man films, it's something Peter grows into, learning through mistakes and consequences, hard ones. And in the MCU, it's something Peter is forced into understanding when everything else is taken away. Which in a way brings us back to the original question. If all these
Everyone hates Spider-Man. Like, they're all suffering so much. Wow.
versions feel right, even when they contradict each other, then maybe it's because Spider-Man isn't meant to be one fixed idea. Maybe he's meant to be understood in parts, through different perspectives, through different experiences, different interpretations of the same core struggle, because at the center of all of this isn't just a hero in a suit, but a person
Anyone could wear the mask. Anyone.
trying to balance who they are, what they feel they have to be. And no matter which version you look at, that struggle never really changes, only the way it's told does. And maybe that's why that idea, Tobey being the perfect Peter Parker and Andrew being the perfect Spider-Man and Tom being both, keeps coming back into the conversation, because each of them feel like they complete a part of something bigger. Not one of them fully defining Spider-Man on their own, but all of them in their own way, getting closer to it.
That was so cool.
However, I hope you enjoyed this video or at least took something from it, and if that's the case, that's amazing, that's great. But do let me know in the comments what's your favorite iteration of the World Crawler in live action and which one had the best movies to you. And while you're down there, you could leave a like or subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this or just want to help the channel grow. But until next time, I'm out.
Those are good videos. Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool. The channel is TalkDExtra. I just saw I saw the Dash video on my recommended and then just decided to stream it. I'm not gonna lie. But, yeah. Yep. I decided to watch it. And that's cool. He brought up a lot of points that I didn't really think about when watching these things. And, new perspective, that's interesting. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I'll link his channel in the description. So, with that being said, if you liked it, thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you didn't like it, I'm sorry. There's not much for me to commentate on. Yeah. Especially in the Spider-Man video, he just basically says a lot of, I don't know, there's nothing to bounce back off of, I guess. Not that I could do, at least. But, yeah. This is, hopefully it won't be one stream a week. I'll try to work on that. But yeah, if I don't see you on Thursday or Friday, then I'll probably see you next week. So yeah, bye guys. See you the next time.